Okay, I was waiting for my link to pop up on my YouTube page, but it's not up there. But anyway, let's just dive into it, okay? I have a deck of cards here, and this deck of cards is important to tell a story. Pay attention. Now, I'm a man who likes to play with cards, okay? Now, as you can see, is all shuffled, all mixed together, all the black and red cards, right? Well, millennial liberals really need to get their shit together, especially when it comes to topics about race and gender. They claim to be against racism, they claim to be against sexism, but yet they are the most sexist and most racist people next to the neo-Nazis, and I will give my thoughts on that incident later on. But pay attention here. They claim to want diversity, but the diversity that they want is separate but equal. I could see right through the agenda. I could see right through their bullshit. Okay? Look. Let's just say the red represents a white liberal, okay? Now, you see, these white liberals refer to Black Americans or racial minorities, whether they be dark-skinned or not, as people of color. Now, how much more bigoted can you get, okay? This is where someone from Black Lives Matter has a problem with that. And I could see why someone who is a part of Black Lives Matter has a problem being called a person of color. Okay? That's the original intention of Black Lives Matter. And I support the original intention. I don't support the rioting. I support the original intention of pointing out that, you know, it's been well over 50 years since civil rights movement happened and all that. And, you know, racial tensions still haven't, you know, cleared up. So you have person for Black Lives Matter over here having a problem with these two liberals calling them person of color. And then you have another white liberal right here who uses the same terminology, but in this case decides to go after white men and say that they're quote unquote mansplaining or they're white mansplaining, whatever, okay? And then you see a member of a minority in America who is kind of tipped about how the liberals are treating them in the sense of like like calling them like people of color and all that, and you know, non-white, or they're just not calling them Americans, right? Okay, so you have the person here, and then you have a white person siding with these two because they think the term person of color or people of color and terms like that are bigoted and using anything to deflect calling racial minority U.S. citizens Americans. This person is actually kind of mad. They're not a liberal. They stay away from this shit. And then you have another white liberal that is pushing the same agenda. And then, okay, now let's say you have someone who says this group is not being racist. And yes, there are these types of people. And this represents maybe the 2-3% of racial minority members of American society who think that white liberals aren't racist. But then you see another white person coming out against this stuff. And that's going to get to And then you have, and then let's say you get a little more percentage of their represents like 2-3% more that support this side. And then you see more people coming out against it because it's a bigoted ideology. Now, why am I using cards to explain my point here? Because if it was up to the white liberals, their diversity would be separate but equal. So that would mean separating people based on skin color all over again, instead of content of character, okay? That is the white liberal mindset. That's the millennial liberal mindset, is to separate people based on skin color instead of content of character. Yeah, there are people you want to separate yourself from in society. I get that. But I do that based on content of character. I don't do that based on skin color. Okay? I don't use the term person of color. They do. I just say American or non-white. Or if I have to be specific, I say Hispanic American or Black American. If I have to be specific. In that case, if I have to be specific. But in general, I don't use the term POC. It's a bigoted term. Millennial liberals need to get their shit together, because it's this way of thinking that gets people not liking you, including those who are supposed to support your agenda. Now, why am I furious over this? I'm furious over this because millennial liberals have become a group of this such collective thinking that the idea is that white men are more privileged than anybody else. Wrong. Men in general don't have quote unquote privilege. I say men, meaning of all races and all backgrounds, not just white. To say that men have more privilege than anybody else in society is completely off balance, especially white men. To say that white men have more privilege than anyone else is off balance. Let me give you a few statistics here that prove that the millennial liberal collective mindset thinking is flawed, bigoted, and nothing but lies. Number one, when they say white men have more privilege, bullshit. White men make less in the job market than white women do. Proven fact. This is even amongst men with college degrees. White men with college degrees and without college degrees make the same amount of money in the job market with the same or equivalent job. That's a fact. Another fact. Men, especially white men and black men alike, Hispanic men too, lose their children more than women do. Especially sometimes to women who are incapable of taking care of those same children. The justice system favors women over men, and that's a fact. Here's another fact. If a man and a woman commit the same crime, let's say murder, a judge is more likely to give a woman a much lesser sentence than a guy. A guy is more likely to get a life-term sentence than a woman is for the same crime. That's a fact. Here's another fact. Domestic violence is never okay if it happens to women or men, but society only cares if it happens to women. And that's a fact. If you look at the number of men who had came out with their rape stories and their domestic relationship abuse stories, you know what you hear? You hear people laughing at them. You don't hear their stories being taken seriously, even though they should be taken just as seriously as when women come out with the same stories. But no, because men apparently have it better than everyone else, even if they're battered or raped by their spouse. Fact. These are just proven facts about our society where men don't have privilege, especially white men, where this justice system favors women over men and will give a woman a lesser sentence for the same crime a guy commits. Oh, and let's talk about sexual assault in the office. Okay? Let's talk about that. A man is more likely to get sexually assaulted at his job, and the person who did it is more likely to get away with it because a sexual assault claim against a woman in the office is laughed at. The lie is that men can't get sexually assaulted. Bullshit, men can. But if a woman claims that she's sexually assaulted by a man, he's automatically fired or suspended without pay or arrested. Tell me again why men are so privileged? Because that's a lie. Men don't have economic privilege over women at all. Every American is in the same boat, regardless of your skin color, regardless of your ethnicity, regardless of your background. We're all in the same fucking boat. We're Americans. That's the first thing we are. We're in the same fucking boat. We have a tanking economy, and people have the goal to say that white men and men in general have privilege. Anyway, moving on. My thoughts on the neo-Nazi rally. Look, they're horrible, horrible human beings. I don't support racism one bit. I don't support racism one bit. I think racism is a disgusting way of thinking. I think any bigots out there, they're flawed individuals, and they have a very jaded and very stupid worldview. They view that the world should just be meant for them, that they own the United States. Well, you don't, okay? You don't. This is where judgment, a content, a character comes in. Neo-Nazis, America isn't just for the white man. America just isn't for the white man. In fact, the white man stole it from the Indian. That's a fact. Look, I think that rally was stupid to have. Look, if you wanted to protest, peacefully protest, the possible removing of the Robert E. Lee statue in West Virginia, fine. That would make more sense. And in fact, I don't think they should take the statue down. I think they should put it in a museum at least, because it is a part of American history. You can't erase the Civil War from American history. You can't do that. You can't erase history. History will always come back and bite you in the ass. If you try to erase history, it will always repeat itself. But I don't think they should remove the statue. That's just my opinion. But I don't think it was worth holding a Nazi rally over. I don't think it was worth holding a Nazi rally over. And I don't know which group got the car plowed into them. I'm not sure if it was the people opposing the Nazis or if it was the Nazis that got the car plowed into them. But to the person who plowed the car into that group of people, that's not how you deal with the situation if you don't agree with someone. You don't plow a car into someone. You don't harm someone like that. You don't do that. And I hope you go to prison for a long, long time. I think that rally was stupid. But at the same time, people have every right to hold rallies as stupid as that in this country. There are people claiming online that what the rally that these people held was not covered by free speech. Yes, it was. Under the First Amendment, free speech, and this includes protests/demonstrations, people have the right to hold such events like this in this country. Whether if you agree with it or not, I definitely don't agree with the rally that was held. I stand against it. I don't stand for it. I stand against it. But you know what? They had every right to hold that rally. Every single right to hold that rally. As wrong as we think it is, they had every right to hold that rally. I don't think that we should select and choose which groups have the right to protest and which don't have the right to protest. In that case, we should just take the right to protest away, because every other group is going to have an opinion on which group shouldn't protest. Violent protest, it was a riot, it was pointless, it was stupid, but they had every right to protest, as stupid as it was. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video, but I had to get that steam off my chest. Oh, and any millennial liberals watching this, as I said in the beginning, if you don't get your shit together, you're gonna not realize why people don't like you. See ya.